have your permission.
Wait, now you have some leading question. So, Chris, what's it like working in suburbia as a part of, as compared to the city? Hey, what's that up on your behind you? Are you a writer, screenwriter? I see the notes behind you.
Oh, you're talking. This is my current comedy set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost looks like what people do when they write TV shows or screenplays.
Yeah. I have to do it very linear like. So I have what I start with and then down. I go down. I can't go cross. I don't know what that's about.
Start yet?
I started, yes, when you started talking about the wall.
That's your set list, which is great.
Thank you.
I have a set list with all my keywords.
Yeah?
And one thing I learned to do is the first few keywords are they're not necessarily jokes, but reminders to myself. Somebody once told me have a goal for each set. So sometimes, I'll have my keywords like family stuff, vacation, Weight Watchers, or whatever it is. But the first few notes are to myself. I'll write something like eye contact.
Nice.
Sometimes I'm on stage, and for the longest time, I was terrified just to even stop and look at somebody in the eyes.
Totally.
I'd be talking to their foreheads or over their heads, or not even really looking at the crowd much. But so I started trying that, and what's so funny, I noticed that if you focus on one person and you stare at them for like more than 3 seconds, they start doing this. They start going. And I'm like, uh-oh. It reminded me, they're more terrified than us that you're going to say something to them. Some of these people.
They are. Yeah, I put okay, so one of my secrets to my success is I switch up emotions. So like I'll have like one will be about how stupid something is hard, I love something, I hate something, so that it's not all the same. Oh, this old lady's just saying the same kind of stuff for 5 minutes. That's what so I'll have like a question mark in the front of one of the squares, and an exclamation when I'm trying to make a point, or I do 2 act outs, and I try to do 1 or 2 callbacks.
Gotcha.
Do you do act outs?
Hold on, I got a sneeze coming. Do I do act outs? Well,
Walking across the street when you were talking about that sounded like an act out.
You know what? With me, my comedy, it's a good point you brought up about act outs, because I'm a very easygoing guy, but I have only a few pet peeves in stand-up comedy. When we arrive to the gig, if it's like a private gig, have somewhere to put us away from the audience, whether it be if it's a firehouse, put us in the office.
Yes.
Put us somewhere. Just keep us separate. But another big one is for me regarding act outs is lighting, because if you can't see my face, my reactions to what I'm talking about, it's kind of like almost some jokes half the joke, where I'm like, I'll say something or I'll talk about somebody saying something to me that was odd, and I'll just be like, if you can't see my face, you can't really understand my reaction.
Exactly.
I'm trying to think of a bit that I do that's really important to see my face. There's one bit I talk about meeting my wife in a movie theater. Where she worked in the movie theater, and in my act, my wife is of Spanish descent. She's Argentinian, adopted into a Puerto Rican family, but in my act, she has an accent. When in real life, she doesn't. Her family members do, but she doesn't. And I talked about, I go to the movie theater, and she's working the counter, and I say, "Can I get a medium popcorn and a medium Coke?" And she says, "Send more. You could have a large Coke." Just that sometimes that laugh will last like, if the crowd's really hot, it can last like 30 seconds. And as comedians, you have to hold the the emotion. So I'm sitting there like she says, for 10 cents more, you get a large Coke. And I'm just like, but if there's no lighting, you can't get all that.
That's
And
funny.
I was like, wow, that's very affordable.
And you're like, a Jew can get a large cock? I hadn't heard of this.
For 10 cents more, I'm like, what can I get for a quarter? Look at me, I'm paneling.
What in the world? So in high school, were you like the funny guy that went to the principal?
Oh yeah, I was the high school. I was class. Like I remember we had a yearbook in 6th grade, 8th grade, and 12th grade, and I was class comedian in 6th grade and 8th grade. Then in 10th grade, I started having issues with anxiety, and I became like almost like an introvert. I wasn't as popular as I once was, so I just kind of snuck out of high school. But I was always, there were several times, I remember several times sitting in the office with the principal and my mother. And I do remember this one incident where the principal is telling my mother everything I do wrong. He goes, he comes in late. He came in late 4 times last month, and my mother looked at me and go, 4 times? And he was absent 3 times? 3 times. And I just started laughing. You know, the nervous laughter? I remember the principal saying, it's all right, sometimes people, they get nervous laughter, like when they hear about the passing of a loved one, they'll laugh. And my mother said, I remember my mother saying, he's not going to be laughing when his father gets home. My poor mother.
Were you in school plays?
No, I didn't do any school play. Well, I think in the 1st grade I was a cherry tree in Life of George Washington. He came to chop me down. But the only play, I did one play, and I would love to do more theater. I did on Long Island when I was first starting in acting, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
I'm sorry, they filmed it in Oregon. I'm sorry.
I was that's right. Yeah. I was the chief. And so we found this brown wig, and my wife tied it to she braided it in the back, and I had a bandana, so you really couldn't see the unnatural looking hairline. And I found from that makeup company that does a lot of actors' makeup, I forget what it's called.
Me too.
I found a Native American, and I would put it on my arms and my face, and there was a while people saying, wow, you really look like you're Native American, because I was just putting it on lightly, and then I think several weeks into it ran for like a month and a half, and several weeks into the play, I didn't realize, but I kept making myself darker and darker to the point where somebody said to me, my friend's been to 3 shows this week, and she said by the 3rd show you were neon. Neon.
Who would have ever thought neon was a punchline? But you found a way.
Neon Native American.
It's a whole new tribe. Check it out, folks. So it's on Google somewhere. What happened to the good old days where we could go change other people's Wikipedia pages?
Right?
They put the kibosh on it. I tried.
Oh, what happened? Actually, I'm talking to him. I'm trying to work on my New York accent too.
Yes.
I want to get more into voiceovers, so I got to work certain words like coffee and talk.
Yes.
I was talking to my mother over coffee. It's talk. I was talking to my mother over coffee.
Okay, so do Boston in Harvard Yard.
Oh, yeah. I noticed with accents, I could do Boston, I could do Southern, I could do English, British, but I feel like it takes me a while to warm up.
Yeah.
I got to start talking Boston, but after a while, you're like, is that Boston or is that, it's not the accent moves around.
Southern Boston.
Oh my God.
How come here's the deepest question I have for you. How come every time a man does an impersonation of a woman, he just sounds gay?
I hate that. That was something that was a pet peeve of mine early on. Like, honey, talks like that. Who talks like that?
Who talks like that? They don't even know they're doing it.
Those things that will bother you, like the improv telephone. Hello, hello. Like who? Nobody. Just say hello. Talk. Let's do this. Hello. Yeah.
I told you $5,000 on the Raiders. Now leave me alone. I'm interviewing Christopher.
Yeah, please. And I've had it with you. Goodbye.
Hey, I'm here in Sin City and they shut down the Sin. What am I supposed to do now?
So they shut down the strip, as they call it?
Yeah. Like I'm 100 yards from the strip right now. And there's nothing happening.
Yeah, they shut down the Borgata here. They shut down Atlantic City. I saw on the news one of the beaches were reopened. But I don't see a problem with opening beaches as long as people stay 6 feet apart from each other. But I know there was the spring break thing. They got a lot of backlash for they were all partying, but that quickly ended.
Yeah. They're out there trying to get the virus to give it to us old people so we'll die.
Oh, God forbid. God forbid. Like, I deliver my dad his mail because he's living with his fiance now in another town. And so when I deliver the mail, first thing I do is I open the bag with all the mail. I spray Lysol in there. I knock on his door. I have gloves. I have a mask because I don't want to take any chances if my dad or his fiance is sick. It's frightening. It's really scary.
It is so frighteningly scary. Oh my gosh. It's nothing to laugh about. It really isn't. Just that Sin City has no sin is kind of funny. But then
yeah, that's kind of funny.
But then the word sin is Spanish for without, so now it's true to its.
How are prostitutes making money?
Business calling card. What?
We gotta go back to the old ways of standing on the corners.
Yeah, in the good old days. The good old days, man. So.
We'll work for toilet paper.
What?
We'll work for toilet paper.
Yeah, man. There we go. I know a lot of girls that would do that. I've seen them over at 7-Eleven. They're not fooling me any. Of course, I would too right now. It's scary when you can't get water and toilet paper.
Yeah. I mean, we went shopping the other day, and the paper towel and toilet paper aisle was just wiped out. I'm like, why is this? I mean, it's totally unnecessary. If you have, well, they say that psychologists say that it gives people comfort to make sure they have plenty of toilet paper and plenty of paper towels. But listen, if you ran out, I'm sure you'd figure something.
I think it's all the people with OCD.
That's another thing I was thinking about. How about these poor people with OCD who, through behavioral therapy, have taught themselves to prolong washing their hands after getting them dirty. And now all of a sudden they feel like they're having some kind of success. And then the CDC comes along, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands. And they're like, I was trying not to wash my hands. And now we all, I said, we've all turned into Howie Mandel. We all, germaphobe.
America's Got Talent, all right. I should have paid it. What?
$50. I have 2 ounces of Purell if you're interested.
Wow. What happens if you? Do you know that stuff is flammable?
It's flammable, of course. It's alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Let's try.
You know what I thought was so funny is when the government came out right at the beginning of the outbreak, they came out and said that we weren't supposed to stick our fingers in our orifices. And I'm like, don't you think they're getting a little too bossy there? Like, go in your house, shut the door by yourself, and don't. It's like, I think, I remember in the 50s, my dad was very skeptical of the government. He survived the Holocaust.
Oh, God bless him.
Thank you. And he wouldn't let us talk near the TV,
Talk near TV? He thought it was, and people have said, like, through, like, Xbox, I remember when that one thing was popular where you put the thing on your TV and you could do those games.
Yeah.
Or you could play a video game and have your friend on the screen. Then they said people were hacking into those, and they could just watch you walk around your living room in your underwear. Or even the camera on the laptop, where they said people could hack in. The Zoom meetings, they say people are hacking into Zoom meetings and
Man.
very hateful things.
Yeah.
But your dad always thought that the TV was like a bugged or something?
Yeah, he thought the government was listening. And I'd call him up and say something about the country, and he'd say, "Don't say it on the phone."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. You know what? I don't think your dad was too far off there.
I don't either. There's a lot of things he said that, you're at the time, and then you grow up and you go, you know what? Maybe he wasn't so paranoid or crazy or whatever. Made sense.
Saw the writing on the wall, yeah.
Yeah. So what's your background with your last name? What am I allowed these days to ask what nationality you are? Can I get your consent to tell me your nationality?
How dare you?
What is Roach?
I am, I did Ancestry DNA, and I always thought people would ask me, and I would say I'm half Italian and half Irish, because I know that my grandfather was 100% Italian, and my other grandfather was Irish, and my grandmother was Irish, so I was really just a mutt. But when I did Ancestry DNA, I was surprised to learn that I was, according to them, 80% Irish.
Wow.
Yeah, and they even show you like the area of where you were from in Ireland. So 80% Irish, Italian, English, and 5% European Jewish.
Really? 5%? That's awesome. I'm half Jewish, but it was my dad, so I'm really 0.
Oh, it doesn't matter. How does that work? Is it what your mother is?
Yeah, the Jewish people of the world think that if your mother was not Jewish, you're not Jewish.
Oh, yeah, that's weird. But I have Jewish friends that celebrate commercial Christmas. Isn't that funny?
Oh my gosh, my dad would put a Hanukkah bush in the front window. He'd take a bush out of the yard and put a Star David at the top and nothing else on it, just to shut the goyim up.
Well, that's funny. You put the Star of David at the top of the Christmas tree?
Yeah, and the tree was really a bush. Obviously not a tree.
Right.
So embarrassing.
That's all right. I mean, listen, as Catholics, as you see my crucifix there, as Catholics, we have to remember that our Savior was a rabbi.
Yes. My dad used to say that God must be Jewish because he had a Jewish son. I don't know about that.
Gentiles.
You got to know your audience with that joke.
You have to know your audiences, and it's an interesting point. I found that I do a lot of temple shows, and I find that Jewish audiences are fantastic.
They are.
They're just with you for the ride, and they get the sarcasm and
the suffering.
A friend of mine once told me, he said, all sitcom dialogue is based on Jewish sarcasm. He said, if you were to turn the volume off and just put the words on a sitcom, he goes, if you listen to that banter, he goes, that's from the Jewish people, the way they,
Wow.
It's like things are good, but they're going to get bad. They're going to get very bad.
Yes. I have a question for you. Go figure. Who's your favorite of all the Jewish comics in the world that have gone before us?
Oh, I would have to say, I'll show you who.
I can't wait. Kevin can wait. I'm not. Let
Ready, he's coming. Rodney Dangerfield.
I was gonna say that. Is that a bobblehead?
No, I used to be able to press his button and he would pull on his tongue, hey, hey, and his mouth would move.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I put batteries in. For some reason, he doesn't talk anymore. But he sits in the corner of my desk. Rodney. He's my comedy hero. Him and Jackie Gleason.
Oh, I love Jackie.
And yeah, so at my wedding, they said with the package we got, my wife and I, they said we could have an ice sculpture of anything. I said, my wife said, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, you pick whatever you want. She goes, no, you pick something. Because I picked all the food, I picked everything. I'm like, all right, I want a Rodney Dangerfield ice sculpture.
Wow.
So I gave them this doll, and they sculpted Rodney for me. But the thing is, if you didn't see this doll, like there was the doll, and then there was the ice sculpture. But if you didn't see the doll, you had no idea what the ice sculpture was. a block of ice with some guy holding his tie,
Even in the sculpture, he got no respect.
No respect, I'd say. Even as an ice sculpture, it's a cold audience,
Who's the favorite funny person you've ever met in your life?
My favorite? Wow, I gotta say it's Kevin James, probably, because looking up to him as a young comedian and always wanted to meet him. And then we grew up. Driving time, we grew up probably about 12 minutes from each other. And I actually bounced at a bar when I first started stand-up 16 years ago. I was doing security at a bar in Port Jefferson on Long Island. And 10 years before that, he was bouncing at that bar. And he didn't know who I was. Of course, I knew who he was. And about 4 years ago, I was doing stand-up comedy on a Wednesday right by my house, McGuire's in Bohemia. And it was a Wednesday night, and I was about to go on stage. I was looking at my set list in the back of the room, looking at my keywords, and I saw the door open to somebody walk in the back room. And I saw it was him and his entourage. And I auditioned for the part of Mott on Kevin Can Wait. But what I didn't realize till later on, that when he saw me on stage that night, that Wednesday night with 30 people in the audience, that was the night I think somebody leaned over to him and said, "That's the guy you're looking for."
Wow. I just got chills. That gave me chills.
And I was saying this recently as a stand-up comedian. I was always like, I gotta get to the Montreal Comedy Festival. I gotta get into the Comedy Cellar. And all of a sudden, 10 minutes from my house on Long Island, Kevin James walks in and says, "Hey, you want to be on my show?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we became friends, and I traveled the country with him doing stand-up as his opener. It's surreal sometimes. Like, I'm just a guy from Long Island, and next thing I know, I'm sitting at a table read between Leah Remini and Kevin James. I'm like, this is crazy.
Leah Remini, oh my God! I went to one taping in Hollywood of King of Queens, and it was the episode where the couple had the turkey in the bathtub.
I'm trying to think. I didn't see all of them. Like, believe it or not, I'm watching them with my wife now. But when I was on Kevin's show, I wouldn't watch any of his because I was trying to get to know him as a person. So if I was channel surfing and I saw him, I was like, "Oh, I can't watch."
Yes.
Because I was trying to get to know Kevin the person, so I could feel relaxed around him. And that was so cool about him, is like he made you feel like you knew him for a while, and he made you feel relaxed. And one of the first scenes we did, I remember he messed up his lines, and the audience laughed, and I felt like 200 pounds fall off my back. Like it was okay to mess up.
Wow.
He was so good like that.
Wow.
Leah was the same way. I was sitting next to her at a table read, and I really haven't spoken much to her before then. And I remember her on her phone on a scene that she wasn't in, or I wasn't in, and she leaned over and whispered to me. She goes, "Can you help me get past this level of Candy Crush?" Gave me her cell phone, and I was helping her passed over Candy Crush because I had been playing it for a while on my phone.
Wow. Did you ever get to meet J-Lo? Was ever J-Lo around with her?
No, I didn't get to meet J-Lo. I don't think she was ever on set. Adam Sandler's wife played my wife on the TV show.
No way.
Yeah, Jackie Sandler, she was fantastic. And I hadn't met Adam until after the show was over. Over here at Jones Beach, I went to go see him, his concert. And I went back, I got to go backstage and finally meet him. And he was like very grateful, saying thank you for being so good to my wife. And she told me how nice you were. And she was nervous at first. And we really clicked.
Wow. What is Kevin? Tell me about Kevin James's wife. She's kind of like a mystery. You don't like, I've seen her on episodes here and there, I think. Wasn't she on King of Queens in the beginning?
She was fantastic. One more thing about, before I finish, Adam's wife was like, when I first worked with her, we were sitting in our, ready to do the scenes, and she leaned over to me and she says, I haven't done any acting in about a year. I'm so nervous. I'm like, well, that's good that you're nervous because you have 7 kids on this show. You should be a nervous wreck. And she's like, that you're right.
Wow.
Put it into the character. And it was like that. She would steal scenes. She was fantastic. But Kevin's wife is super, super nice. Super nice. She's very, very beautiful.
Yes.
When I first saw her, I'm like, oh my God, I can't look at her. She was just so beautiful. But getting to know her as a person, she's a very, very sweet person, with a big heart, really good person.
Now, you got married 10 years ago. You talked before we turned on the video about having a bachelor party in Vegas, and you've been married 10 years.
10 years married, maybe 11.
That's something every man struggles with.
Yes. I think I said to my wife one time, well, when she was questioning me about not knowing our anniversary date, I said, well, when you find the right person, you just stop counting. Didn't work. I thought it was a pretty good try.
That's noble. Oh my gosh, I would have fallen for that.
I can only remember so much in this head. Big head, but it doesn't fit a lot.
What does your wife have as the chore that you have to do, that she has to keep reminding you to do?
Everything. Garbage, bring up the laundry, wash dishes, But I try to do those things without her asking me, and when I do those things without her asking me, it makes her very happy.
Aw. Yeah, so what is the secret to being married for 10 years and being in show business and a comedian? How do you make that all work?
Still trying to figure that out. Well, I think a big thing that your spouse, the person not in show business, has to be supportive, and she's been very supportive. Because there are times, it's an emotional roller coaster with a lot of rejection. And she see me sometimes where I got pretty down on myself because of the way things were going. And it breaks her heart. But, she's there to lift me up and help me get back on track. So there are times it's not easy, especially being an actor. But then I'm a stand-up comedian. When I'm not acting, I'm traveling. So that's not easy. And we have 2 dogs, so she's left to do all the things. She mostly does herself anyway, but she feeds the dogs, and I just take them out and pick up their poop.
Yeah. Is your wife there now so we can all meet her?
I think she's downstairs watching TV.
Okay. And you have what kind of dog? Labradoodle?
A mini Labradoodle. She's sleeping next to me, and we have 2 dogs, mini Labradoodle, and I have Anise. The mini Labradoodle was a gift from a couple of friends, and she is pretty much my daughter.
Aw. Okay, so there's comedians that are going to be watching this because I posted it on a bunch of different cities' Facebook comedy groups. So I was wondering, what advice you have to comics? Like pet peeves when you're watching comedy, or how to persevere in the business, anything, any advice you have?
Well, one of the first things I would tell comedians that would come up to me, a question I heard a few times, they would come up to me and say, "When do I start making money doing this?" And I'm like, "Oh boy, those are people that don't last." I think for the first at least 5 years of yours, it should not be about money at all. In fact, when I started getting paid, it was like, "You're going to pay me to do this? Thank you."
That's
I just
right.
love doing it.
Yeah.
So it can't be about the money. And that was a big thing. Just try to enjoy the journey. That's what I would always told. Enjoy the journey. And this is a big thing too. Try to keep blinders on to what other people are doing. It's so hard with the social media. Like, you'll see somebody that you're like, "I know I'm funnier than this guy, and this guy got that." And
Exactly.
it's funny, when I got on Kevin Can Wait, one of my friends, Carrie Carabas, she's one of my best friends.
I love her.
Yeah, she's so funny. She said to me, the minute word got out that you got Kevin Can Wait, 1,000 comics all at the same time went, "Him?"
Exactly. Exactly.
So, it's like, it's so easy to get caught up on that. So I try to, listen, just wish the best for everybody. Try to keep the best attitude you can, because when we have to be happy for each other's successes, we really do. And I know it's easier said than done, because you work so hard at this, and it's tough. Like, again, I wanted to get into the Montreal comedy. I was never in there, and I was so envious of my friends that got in it. I auditioned, and I know the auditions went very well, but I wasn't what they were looking for, and I just had to. It was the first time I got turned down. It crushed me. I was so upset. I'm like, I know I'm good enough to be there, but I can't get there. And then people would say to me, like, Montreal, it's not what it used to be. You can't get. I'm like, I don't care about that. For me, it was like a rite of passage. So I was always like, I gotta get into the Montreal Comedy Festival. I gotta perform at the Comedy Cellar, and then out of nowhere, again, not to repeat myself, but I'm looking here, and all of a sudden, over here, Kevin James is like, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, hello," and I end up getting on the show, and because of the show, I work in at clubs where I never could work at before.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. With your acting credits, you ask people on the street, they know who you are. So that must help you to get into clubs.
A little bit. You know what? I don't think the show lasted long enough for me to become a household name, but I know people know who I am now, but I'm still working. There's something happening right now that, of course, I don't want to say and jinx it, but every comic has something that could happen. So I'm just trying to stay positive and work on projects. And
that's cool. We're all trying to stay positive. Like the world seems to be falling apart around us. So how is it that you, Christopher Brian Roach, does stay positive? How do you manage doing that when everywhere we look, everything seems like the end of the world at times, in the last month at least?
I just mentioned Carrie Carabas. I was just talking to her, not talking, and it started getting in. It's hard, especially as a stand-up. I really miss getting on stage. It was for a lot of us, therapeutic. But I'm trying to work on projects. I'm trying to stay positive. I have a rule now that after a certain time of the day, I don't watch any media. And one thing I found out, my wife and I started just doing TikTok. And I was laying in bed last night, and I'm watching all these people do these TikToks and playing jokes on each other, and I was wiping away tears laughing. I'm like, this is such great medicine right now.
It is.
To laugh. Even comedians, we need to laugh,
That's right.
It's such a nice feeling to
Yes.
make someone laugh, or to have someone come to you after a show and say, "Man, I really needed that." Or there were times I remember a woman coming up to me crying and saying, "You have no idea how much I just needed that," and it's like, wow,
Exactly.
wow. But again, as comedians, we're humans, and we have we're not perfect, we're flawed, and we need to laugh too.
Exactly. Do you ever go outside to go get your wife some Kotex or something, and and somebody expects you to be in a good mood?
And what?
Somebody expects you to be in a good mood, and they want to jock your stuff, and you don't want to be jocked. You want to be just getting that Kotex and getting out of there.
Yeah, well, it's like, it takes most people, I think, the average person doesn't realize that the person on stage, okay, that is a version of you, but when you get off, we just want to be mellow. Like, one thing, here's a pet peeve of mine. We're talking about pet peeves. Comedians that are always on. Like, you're driving into a gig with them and you feel like they're trying jokes out on you and they're trying to be funny. Like, dude, let's just listen to the radio and relax, man. Let's enjoy the scenery. Let's talk about our families and maybe our dreams. But oh my God.
That's interesting, like and then there's the whole other end of the spectrum where somebody has this magnanimous personality. I don't even know if that's the right word. A great big huge personality on stage and nothing behind it.
Yeah. When I first started, I was like, when I would get off stage, because I was trying to bring so much energy, that when I would get off stage, I was like, you couldn't even talk to me. I was exhausted. And then I said, what am I doing? Why am I trying to force people to laugh? Why don't I just be myself and see if they like that guy? I know a friend of mine that whether there's 2 people in the room or 2,000, he will give that same energy. And I always feel like that's, man, if it's a Friday night late show and there's 12 people in the audience and you're going, hey, they're going to be like, what are you doing?
You're amazing.
Kind of, like if the audience's energy is here, I try to always be, like, try to go up with them and whatever. But if they're down here and you start up here, they're going to be like, what the hell?
Yeah, you got to crank it up a little bit at a time, a few notches here and there, huh?
Yeah, I find the best way, if you could do anything but go into your material, if you're a comic that does material, if you're not a crowd work comic, if you could find anything, talk about the room, talk about what happened that day, talk about the town, that seems to help. And then next thing you know, you're doing your material that you want to talk about, and they don't even realize you just slide it right into it. That's which is so weird about a late night set, which is another thing was on my list. Like, I want to do a late night set. And I was told, well, he's not what we're looking for. But when I was putting a late night set together and talking to so many people that did late night sets, it's just so unorganic to just go right into it. You were going, hey, it's Chris Roach. So the other day I was walking down the street and blah, blah. Man, some people are really good at it. I remember seeing Brian Regan on late night, and here's this huge, I know I always bring him up, this huge ball of energy and act outs, and then you have him framed, and it was almost looking like a tiger in a cage. I'm like, let that tiger out of the cage. Like, you can't take a guy and say, here's your mark, stay between these 2 feet. It didn't feel weird, right, for me.
Yes.
How it felt for him. Then I saw him later on. It seemed like they're like, all right, they let him move around. They told the camera guy, just go with him. He's going to go, just go with him. Because I remember in an interview, he said that as a person who did theater in high school, the acting coach would say to him, fill the stage.
Yeah.
Fill the stage. And he would fill that stage, man. He would fill it. He's walking here, walking there. Those guys always amaze me that do that. It's just incredible.
Yeah, like Lewis Black can fill the stage. Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, Robin Williams, the way he would fill a stage, incredible. But that was their persona. It worked for them. And then you get a guy like Stephen Wright, which is phenomenal, just standing there.
Just standing there.
Standing there.
Were you ever a fan of David Brenner?
No, I heard you. I never met him. I can't tell you that I was, but I'm a fan of the comedian that can get a laugh without screaming.
Me too.
Like a Jim Gaffigan. There's a couple of guys that I really like local guys like Ted Alexandro or Gary Veeder. Really, really funny guys that they could stand at the microphone and have you crying without it going, "Rah!"
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, some guys are really good at that. I remember people were bashing Dane Cook for being that kind of guy. They're like, oh, he really doesn't have funny material. It's just his act outs. I'm like, so what? He's making me laugh. And I would go, anytime I could see Dane Cook, I would go to see one of his shows and I'd be crying, laughing.
Yeah.
Who cares?
There's so many people, like, I don't know if it's Americans or what, but I hear comics saying, like, my style of comedy is better than his. Like, oh, that's just wordplay. You know what? Every joke is wordplay.
Well, a comedian friend of mine once said, Long Island guy by the name of Peter Bales, who's a very, very, I guess say, kind of a legend around Long Island.
Yeah.
He's been in the business for like 40 years. And he would say to me about a comedy contest. I forgot maybe I was in a contest early on and I didn't win. And he would say to me, he could never understand why they have comedy contests. When comedy is man versus himself.
Whoa.
Well, how can you judge, say, this guy's funnier than that guy when comedy is man versus himself?
That's very good. Very good.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
It's so subjective, I'm telling you. Because, like, if they're deciding if your style's funnier than another's, who's really to tell?
No. I always say this thing about stand-up comedy.
Yeah?
Just when you think you have it figured out, you don't.
Yeah. That's when you know you don't.
Take your lumps and enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey.
Thank you so much. Doing an interview, I love it. It's like sex. We both know when it's over.
No, I got to get a cigarette now.
Thank you so much, Brian Christopher Roach. Thank you.
Linda.
I love you lots. Bye.
Good seeing you again. Bye.
Bye. Good seeing you too.
Bye.
Bye. Get to see the bags on my door. Now the bags on my eyes. Wasn't that nice of him to take time? Oh my gosh, what time is it? He almost went an entire hour. I got him on the phone. He started talking, and I was, excuse me, can I turn on this video now? He's like, oh, it wasn't on. Oh my God. I didn't have your consent. Can I have your consent now to turn it on? So then that's what you heard at the beginning. Thanks, you guys. Isn't he wonderful? Bye.